Yeah.
I know. That's the problem. And you know what the sucky part is like, man, like we could have a great, awesome conversation, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
talk this shit. And then all of a sudden, like I go in there to edit and then it's all
Mm-hmm.
fucked up. It's like, it doesn't
Yeah.
even
We've
work.
done podcasts
Um,
before where it's just
okay.
bro, you're dying right
The
now.
amount I've had conversation after conversation of trying to explain to even teenagers what it was growing up in the 2000s of dealing with, we had iPods, we had MP3 players, we had CD players, you know, just the amount of effort it took to be able to listen to music without like dragging your parents along the ride of like, can I have
Mm-hmm.
$5? Can I have $10? You're like, that was baked and burned in my skin. That's why like a lot of the times when like I listen to music, I like to joke where I listen to an
Mm-hmm.
album, you know? I'm like one of the, because like I do remember that time where you had a CD, you spent like $10 on that shit. You're gonna listen it A to B, both
I
motherfucking
mean, dude, it was a
sides.
struggle just trying to find the track listing sometimes so I could rip it off a LimeWire. I just I want to hear the project in order.
Dude.
I remember later on too, I used to just go to the library and rent out like 5 CDs at a time and just upload them to iTunes, and I did that for a whole summer and just snagged their entire catalog.
Yeah, you used to be able to burn them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was an older kid that my dad knew, was a friend of his friends. So like his dad and my dad were friends, and he used to do this shit all the time, like on LimeWire. He used to go on iTunes, used to get the CDs from the library, and he used to charge. Okay, we were in elementary
Mm-hmm.
school. He used to charge us money to fucking do this shit, and like the amount of power people have back. If you knew tech like 25 years ago,
Yeah, you were the
shit.
shit, man. Like we were lucky to even have a computer. My stepdad worked on computers. That's like what his career was back then. Well, he still is now, but we were able to. I remember playing. Remember like Toonami? When Tom was getting eaten by the blob and shit, and they had that fuck off video
Uh-huh.
game
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah. On the
wild.
computer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the
Microsoft
tube,
XP.
big tube fucking computers. Um, yeah, LimeWire getting viruses and shit like a motherfucker. And I remember even my stepdad asking, like, yo, because I was a little old. I think I was in high school or something, and the Pee-wees had like their, football banquet or something. And he's like, yo, can you like rip off Green Day for me real quick or whatever? Because we got to use like the something da, 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 like that, for like the banquet fucking, montage and stuff. It was funny. Good,
It's
good times
crazy.
pirating.
It really was, and it's really wild because as I've gotten older, like kind of just doing a little bit more research and stuff of like the history in regards to like music production and editing. When you go back to even the 70s, okay, this is what blows my mind away. You have somebody like Brian Eno that comes along in the early motherfucking 70s, like 71,
Mm.
72, and just takes computers and synthesizers and electronic modules and wiring and it just plugs all this shit together and makes digital
Mm-hmm.
music. Okay, first off, I don't know how much psychedelic LSD that man was tripping. He's probably tripping a lot. But, dude, who the hell was thinking like that?
I don't know.
It's like somebody coming along now, right, in 2025 and saying, like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a full artificial intelligence, like, song in artificial intelligence in a parallel universe.
Bro, that's happening though for
That's the
real,
kind of
man.
shit.
Like there's some band or
Yeah, it
whatever that's
is.
all artificial intelligence that's
Yeah.
got like 300K on fucking monthly listeners on
Yeah.
Spotify, which is wild. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm about to
It's
just
fucking
Suno this shit
insane.
up. Like, what the fuck? But like, I mean, even back then, dude, it must have been because it was all analog. Even the synthesizers and all that were analog, so it was just like you really got to play around with stuff. But like, I don't know. I'm not too familiar
Physical
with.
input.
I know Brian, but I'm not too familiar with this stuff. One of my friends is like a super fan of his, but like
I'm not
I
that
don't know like
crazy.
how
I'm not that crazy.
intricate he got with like the wiring and stuff like that. I don't know if he like tweaked around like that. Just discovering sounds and like fucking up guitar amps and plugging those into Prophets and Junos, synthesizers and stuff like that. Like even watching that what was it, the Bohemian Rhapsody movie or whatever, them like kind of getting that
Yeah.
guitar amp
Yeah.
that was swinging back and forth, just finding weird ways to do shit. I'm just like, damn, dude, like you had to be creative back then, and now I mean, now I think a lot of music sounds similar now is just because of COVID kept us in creating with ourselves. So we weren't getting creatively challenged by our friends or our collaborators and stuff like that. So that's why everything sounds the fucking same right now. But now as everything's, we're getting a little bit back to normal. Hopefully in the next, 5-10 years or whatever, there's a little bit more musicianship. But then there's also the AI thing happening right now where it's just like there's Waves plugins that you can just say, like, I want a whale sound blended with some fucking sand or ocean waves or some shit, and it'll just make it for you. And it's wild.
The interesting thing which you touched on, which is AI does have a very important tool within music production and can have a very great role in music if there's human input. One thing that I think we kind of forget is that if we continue to focus on the fact that it's going to take over our lives and our minds instead of trying to figure out a way of implementing with it, so allowing it to use it as a tool to maybe make our lives a little bit, again, like, oh my God, that sounds freaking insane. It does sound freaking insane, but the reality is we're kind of in this future already. So if we're in it already, like, how do we have a more positive spin?
I mean, it's just
on this whole.
Well, the other day, like our one of our producer friend of ours kind of showed us Suno, which I presume you've heard of that, right? The thing that Timbaland's getting bitched at right now, currently over. You can like type in whatever the fuck you want, and it'll just shit you out a song, and it's like decent. So like, yeah.
It has that weird look. Okay,
yeah,
I know what you're
so
talking
like,
about. Yeah.
The major labels are able to kind of shit out like 1,000 songs a day, obviously because they're fucking, a global entity and all that stuff. But what's cool about Suno is that kind of allows you to compete a little bit because like everyone's got, 20,000 voice memos of like melodies and song ideas and like all that shit. And if you're able to kind of put that into Suno and get some decent demos, then you can kind of peruse through the 1,000 songs and really pick the winners and then focus on those. You know what I'm saying? So, like, it's similar to, like, how Skrillex does stuff where he'll, like, bust out, like, 10 ideas in the morning or something like that, focus on the 2 that matter, and then get down to the one that's awesome. So, I'm like, if you're able to kind of use Suno in that sense of, like, like, you're not having to pay for demos, you're not having to pay for all this shit. Like, it allows indie artists, indie labels, indie publishers to really pump out even more songs to kind of compete a little bit. Now, don't think the majors aren't doing that either. They're, now tripling their fucking speed, but they're also now doing licensing agreements with Suno. So it's like it's like sampling 2.0,
Well, there's also, I remember this came out a few years ago. I don't know if you remember this, where they re-released a Beatles song. Do you remember this?
Not a Beatles song. I know wasn't there a movie that came out with the Beatles?
Yeah, there was a movie that came out with, it was one of like those, like, I think Kingsman movies that had, so basically like Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr came along and decided to take like an old demo from John Lennon and then basically turn it into a song. So like, to your point though, it's like really cool what you can do with AI. Here's the thing though, you listen to the song, obviously you can tell it's a demo. Like, they've done certain things to make it sound a little more cleaner. But it doesn't feel like a John Lennon song. Yeah. There's this uncanny valley about AI that people just don't understand. When there's no human input in an AI, I understand that it gets very meticulous. It's very hard to tell if it's real or it's fake. But there's something in our minds, maybe something spiritual, maybe something to do with our consciousness, that the second there's no human input and it's fully machine, something feels off in our brains.
It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I agree. I would agree with you. I agree with you as well. Like, there is, I mean, you can kind of tell. It doesn't mean that in the next 5 years it's not going to be tweaked where it's just going to be like, holy shit. But I wonder if we'll still have that innate, gut feeling of like, this feels weird. Why does it feel weird? Which I wonder if that's like a, human nature, like in us, like you just said, the spiritual of like, oh, this wasn't really harmonious, or like the frequencies aren't hitting the right way because it's like AI does it in like 550 or something and ours is 440 or some shit, like who the fuck knows. But yeah, that's kind of an interesting because even with pictures and stuff, but I mean even the visuals and stuff like that now that are popping up on sometimes they get me. Like, for the most part you can tell every now and again it's just like, it's more so like when it's that's not true. Like, that didn't fucking happen. And then you're like, oh, yeah, it's AI. It'll say it, like, in the corner or some shit like that. But, like, we're going to need some shit that tells us, like, yo, this is AI. Don't be fucking falling for it.
Dude, it is crazy. So for me, like, I'm currently in school being an automotive technician. I'm in the automotive industry. And I'm currently, like, writing a story that has to do with an American manufacturer in the 80s. And I've been using, like, AI to kind of, I'm dyslexic, so sometimes I need, like, a little bit of visuals just to kind of get my mind in. Bro, the type of cars that this AI generates, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, what?
Like, visually, like the aesthetics of it?
Visually, yes, it looks like, because, like, as a mechanic, like, obviously there's things that are off that are like, okay, but just the look and just the design, I'm like, wait a minute, that could actually be a practical car that could drive. Like, you could make. And it's not just that, man. Like, it could create, like, houses and places in the middle of nowhere. It has this, okay, there was somebody on YouTube, I don't remember who this was. They went ahead and they put through ChatGPT of what it would be like to be in the universes under the influence of psychedelics, specifically like LSD, shrooms, MDMA. Bro, the visuals were fucking insane. Like, as somebody that's actually, like, I've tried psychedelics, I'm like, how the hell does it know this? How is it able to... There's something off about AI, okay? Like, I don't want to be one of those freaky people. I feel like...
I mean, dude, there's people that are, like, worshipping it now. Like, obviously, it's very, like, small amounts of people, but they're, like, seeing it as, the mentally unstable are seeing it as a god, and it's, like, telling it to, like, kill the founder. Like, shit like that, like, do wild stuff, but it's just reading shit off of the internet, and there's wild shit on the internet, too. So, and there's shit that's not true, like, even, media or something, just making up something, like, you've seen those videos of, like, they're all, like, saying the same thing every single station, and if they're all lying about something, then ChatGPTs or whatever is just going to tell you, like, oh, this is the truth, so that's going to be a wild thing where it's just, like, at what point do we need a truth teller, or that's why, like, people will be still good as curators. I think curation and gatekeeping is probably going to start slowly coming back because we're just going to be bombarded with social media is going to be nothing but AI shit in the future. It's just going to be AI influencers, AI whatever the fuck, and it's just going to be like similar to like cyberpunk, with the buildings that have like the Japanese girl on there doing whatever the fuck.
Yeah, that's like hovering and shit.
Yeah, it's going to be all fucking that in the future, like Minority Report and stuff like that, and just straight ads.
Here's the interesting thing, right? We're talking about AI and we're talking about all these different technologies. Something I know, like, within the automotive industry, and I'm going to tell you this straight up, there are technologies that we have right now in cars that nobody on this entire planet knows and how they, do quotations, knows and how they work. Great example of these, okay? We have what's called onboard logic on a lot of modules today. Short answer, like, onboard logic just means, for anybody that's listening, it has its own brain. So if something happens in the vehicle or power gets cut off, there's a way of the computer still being able to stay alive and keep certain functions. We don't know how it works.
Really?
All we know is that it's a certain setup that goes up on the board, certain layout. That's it. As long as you follow that algorithm, as long as you follow that path, you're good to go. There's a lot of explanations for it. One is because of how complex and how small and tiny these pieces are on those logic boards and motherboards. But there's also another explanation, which is, get a little bit in conspiracy, like the military-industrial complex. They've been working on technologies for years. They've probably been working on this technology for over 40
Bro, we've
years.
had, like, weather change and shit since the 60s or some crazy shit, so I don't know what the fuck's going on now.
See what I'm saying? So, like, I'm, like, sitting here and I'm like, wait a minute, okay. But that could mean that we have technology or stuff that exists, but yet we can't see.
I mean, we probably have stuff where... We
nowhere.
probably have stuff that the government has been keeping from us just because we're not ready for it. I don't think we're ready for AI. Like, we're already like we can't even comprehend it. It's just like we're not evolving fast enough to keep up with the tech and like how this all this information and bombardment, and we're getting it's going to be like Idiocracy. You ever see that movie where like life is just so simple and easy, you don't even have to do anything, and then as jobs start getting displaced and people stop finding meaning in life and all that. But I also believe in human innovation though. Like there will be jobs we haven't thought of yet with these new technologies and stuff like that, so, and it's even like you were saying, you're in the automotive. It's interesting because now the engineers could also be the designers, and you don't even need the graphic designers like detailing the cars and stuff like that, because for the most part, if the design is created by AI, the engineers just have to test like does it work with the aerodynamics and like whatever the fuck else, and then you can downsize a little bit. So it's wild that everyone thought that AI was going to take out like blue collar jobs, but it's the white collar ones that are going first. I find that kind of funny.
It is. And what's really wild is, especially in the automotive industry, if we're touching on this, AI is allowing the actual technicians, the actual engineers, mechanical engineers, and the people that actually build cars, the ones that work on them, to have the power. The problem is all these large corporations, they don't really hold the power. Like, I'll give you a great example. Like, I'm, for example, going into the German sector. Majority of these German companies like Porsche, BMW, Mercedes, they're all run primarily by like engineers, designers. Like these are some of the most sophisticated, most mechanical, and some of the most creative people you'll ever meet in your entire life. The execs and the board, like, yeah, they exist. They make billions and millions of dollars. But without those other people behind them, there's no, and they're utilizing all the technology you're talking about. Like there's going to come a point where you'll need less and less of those because they'll be able to do more and more jobs that their colleagues are able to do. So in many ways, it's like almost like a fuck you to the middle, like to the man. It's like, we don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore.
We got a little Jarvis right here. We can do admin work and financing and like all this other fucking shit. Bye-bye, CFO.
Who needs a business manager when you have ChatGPT?
Got ChatGPT. Now, I think in the future also a lot of these tech companies are probably going to be creating their own AI, so it's all in-house and they can trust it. So they're a lot of it's going to, because if you're working for GM or something like that, you're working on shit you can't have in the ether, where Ford or somebody could fucking snag it or some shit like that. But yeah, it is kind of interesting. Everyone will probably start really designing their own tech. A lot of people, like such as yourself, could start your own car company, so long as the regulations are like chilled the fuck out, because obviously like the big three kind of run everything. I mean, it took even Elon like since like 2008 or whatever when Tesla like was started, which I didn't even know Tesla was a thing until like the mid 2010s or some shit like that. But even he was saying it's like it's almost damn near impossible to kind of start a car company. But he kind of helped it out too a little bit when he made his tech, like I think his tech for Tesla's open source or whatever the fuck. So now you have a bunch of these electric cars kind of popping out, like I think it's Polaris and a couple other car companies that or Revion and shit like that. Or is that what they're called? Yeah. So like, I don't know if that comes from Revion. That, but it would make sense if it did, especially if something was open source like that.
It's okay. Here's the interesting part. Like, just the same way that we know that big ag, we know that big pharma, we know that the FDA and all, they're all rigged. They're all corporate greedy swines just trying to make an extra buck. I'm one of those. Look, it's great that we have all these wonderful safety technology and crumple zones and all this stuff on cars. I'm going to break in a little secret that most people don't tell you. That technology saves your life. Here's the caveat. The chances of you getting more severe injuries that you can survive from in those cars are higher than cars from the past. Now, how do we know this? Trucks and certain SUVs here in the United States don't follow the same regulations as passenger vehicles. So they still can have those giant steel bar railings in the front. You ever notice if you get ever hit by a pickup truck, you're not coming out very clean. And that pickup truck is fine because they don't...
still steel.
Their regulations for the... Yeah, because it still has the same regulations from 45 years
That's why it was weird
ago.
the other year with Ford, where it's just like, oh, they have an aluminum body now, and I'm just like, oh yeah, because it's been steel. They're commercial vehicles; they have to be able to maintain.
They still have steel on them, but they're mostly aluminum. sub-unibody. I forgot what they call it. It's like a some unibody subframe combo bullshit. It's Ford. Built tough. Maybe. Who knows? Breakdown. Costs you a lot of money. Fucking hey. But yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I feel like every single time you get to sit down and you kind of see all this bananas and crazy technology gets thrown all over the place, it seems like the people that are actually benefiting is actually, like, in our case, is the indie scene. It's like we benefit more than anybody, because you don't need to deal with all that fucking bullshit and crap. Yeah, you could talk about it and complain about it, and it sucks, and be able to make awareness, but the truth is we don't.
I mean, we're going into
we haven't need them for
we're going
years.
into a creator economy now. Like, even the the music industry is always, like, kind of at the forefront, it seems like, of, like, the future.
It is.
But, like, even the movie scenes, like, I follow, like, a bunch of shit on TikTok. I like to know what other industries are up to and developments in cities and shit like that. And I somebody was mentioning, like, the studio, the Big Five are, like, downsizing now. They're actually opening their studios up to indie studios and indie production companies and stuff like that, because they want. They don't have a choice, because, like, they don't know what's going to hit. Like, things, even with music, like, it can't be a good song anymore. It has to be culturally accepted. So, like, those shows, like, they need to know that there's an audience before they're willing to put, $100 million behind something like a show, which is wild to me, because it's like, damn, dude, like, those indie flicks are fucking expensive. It's like, what do you mean if there's an audience for it? Like, how are they supposed to do that? But, there's a lot of private equity out there now that's willing to invest in IP and all that stuff, because, IP, from my understanding, a lot of them are, like, during the early 20s, buying up catalogs was pretty popular. Everyone was selling their shit. Now, like, typically, I personally think it's overall, one, IP is kind of recession proof in a sense, especially if you buy into something pretty solid. And then two, regardless of what you think, the population is going down, so that even if your name, like Justin Bieber, stays relevant for the next 50 years, which most likely it's not, like, it's still going to be up there, but, like, the even smaller artists, like, you're not going to be known in your relevancy is like 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So, like, your catalog is only worth what you are relevant to the culture. So want to, get top dollar now, get the fuck out, invest in real estate or something that's going to keep appreciating, Regardless, all the companies, like the music industry, entertainment industry, that's why they keep making shit that I grew up with. Because Gen Z, or Gen fucking Alpha now, there was, 72 million millennials, I think there's 69 million Gen Z, and there's 40 million Gen Alpha. Damn, we don't even understand the impact that's going to have for the next, 20, 25 years. And Gen Bravo, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, after that is going to be even less, most likely, than 40 million. So, like, and there's nobody to take these blue collar jobs, because all the boomers are retiring and they wanted their kids to have white collar jobs so they could be easier. So now you're probably going to start seeing ads and everything that are going to start promoting plumbing and electricians and all that other stuff, which is cool, because, they make six figures and no debt, from college and all that fucking shit. So, like, that's interesting.
But the problem, look, and I'll tell you honestly, like, the problem also is, like, people don't really understand what trade is. Like, I'm currently in vocational school, and I'll tell you right now, like, half the dumbasses that I'm in school with, I'm like, get the hell out. You're in the wrong industry, because they're in there just to make money. They're here as dodo brains to stay here in South Florida. I'm like, if you want a career...
Are you in Miami?
This goes up... I'm in Boca.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm in Nashville. Just
close enough to my... Hey! Close enough. We're still in the South. I mean, I'm not really technically the South. It's kind of Gatorland on.
I mean, it's South New York. I'm from upstate New York. Everyone from New York would go retire down there and all that stuff. So sorry to derail you, but, like, I like Miami.
No. It's okay. Like, as a New Yorker, I need to get the hell out of here. But I realized to myself is that if you want to be able to have a successful career, for example, if it could be automotive industry, it could be the medical industry, it could be the music industry, podcasting. You need to be able to keep your head up. You need to understand and be progressive about your learning skills, meaning that when new things come around, you're ready for it. Something is new and tricky or difficult, figure it out. There's YouTube videos. There's people you can talk to. New technologies come out. Go ahead and find it. Go to those car shows. Find out what those new shit is. Because the last thing you want to do, right, is be that music producer that's still making music for Lenny G.
Yes.
Music. Like, nothing wrong with that, but it's like, listen, man, you're making like $12 a month, and you've been doing this for 40
Mm-hmm.
years. I think it's time that
Well, even
it's time for an
even on our
upgrade.
studio side of things here, where it's just like I can tell when somebody's been working with artists are very loyal. Like whenever they kind of find an engineer or something, it's like a bank. They don't think they can leave, you know. So like
No.
that's whenever they come here, I come from more of like a mentorship kind of position where I want to know who they are. I want to know what they're trying to do. I want to learn these and then teach them about these things. Like most of them aren't signing up with their publishing and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, you got these royalties just fucking hanging out right now, bro. So, we'll try to. I'm trying to like get the onboarding and all these other things that just provide immense value, for artists that end up coming here, because we kind of started as we're kind of known as like for hip hoppers to come here, because obviously hip hop's kind of hip hoppers, rap artists, hip hop. But in Nashville, it's kind of it's what do you call it? A misfit, artist. It's typically country here, but we are becoming Music City slowly. Where a bunch of
I
genres
mean,
are
there's
here.
been an indie music scene in Nashville. Nashville's one of the oldest indie music scenes in the United
Mm-hmm.
States. I think it's like reaching now almost 90 years, something like that, which is
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
I'm,
And there's a lot of amazing stuff that comes out, like you said, even from your own work and stuff. Like even if it's like hip hop and stuff, like that that is fucking
yeah.
art. That is fucking art right
Especially
there.
with like everyone kind of moving here from different places like Nashville. I didn't even realize like
Right.
Nashville always pops up in history too. Like if you ever like look back into history and
It
stuff, and
is.
Nashville just kind of pops up
It is.
randomly, I'm like, fuck's Nashville doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Because we only ever think like New York or DC or LA or whatever the fuck, or Chicago,
No.
for, like the bigger ones. But Nashville, like
The Big
the big
Bears.
bears, yeah.
It's a little bear.
But it's interesting, like the Southeast, everyone moving down here, and Nashville's become like this little super city. I was reading in Bloomberg or something, Miami, Nashville, Houston, and Dallas are going to be like the super cities of the future, like the ones that, I mean, even in Dallas, there's like a Texas stock exchange now, that like BlackRock and all those guys invested in, or doing, or whatever the fuck it is. So it's
I know those
fucking
motherfuckers.
BlackRock, yeah, man. They're eating up all the Bitcoin
Ah,
and
god
shit. Sons
damn.
of fucks. I think I just saw that the
Oh my
uh, the
god.
governor just approved for Texas to acquire like billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and shit like that. I'm like, God damn it, Abbott. Like I want it for the people. Fuck that.
Mm. Well, by the way, that's something that gets lost a lot of the times, especially not even just hip hop and rap, but in the indie and underground scenes, is what's kept it strong for so many years in this
Hmm.
country is collaboration, is community. What gets lost is, right, and I think that's the thing that Nashville has, like many other music cities do, but that sense of community,
Yeah.
being able to just get off of work, be able to find fellow other artists by local
Hmm.
pubs, venues, markets, studios. Like, I don't even know how many studios are in Nashville. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
they're all
There's
in
a lot of
houses too. It's
studios.
uniquely
Yeah.
cultural here too, where everyone's very helpful. Like everyone's trying to make it together. Even with songwriting splits and stuff like that, it's
That's how it's
traditionally
supposed to be.
it's traditional to do even splits regardless of like how much input was given. So like we could have four in here, and like somebody only contributed maybe one line in a song, it would still be an even split. Where like in Atlanta, it's split lyric and music. So say you got one producer and five writers, that producer gets 50%, and then the 50% with the writers is split five ways. So like that, it's just kind of interesting how each city's different, and then even in LA, it's just cutthroat as fuck, where it's just everyone's fighting for percentages and stuff, which is where songwriter managers come from, like the Los Angeles area, because that's kind of, I've never heard of a manager for songwriters before until this, either this year or last year, I forget, because a friend of mine, he's a songwriter and he's got like a manager now, and I'm like, it's not been a thing here in Nashville because we never needed it, because it was just understood everyone would just do even splits, where everyone's,
We don't even have that in New York.
yeah.
We don't even have that in New York. Do we have like there's like a manager. It's not a produce. There's a name for it, but like they're the manager of like the writing and then the the other side of not the lyrical side.
The
They're
publishing
I don't
side?
forgot the name, but I something like that. Yeah. Something like publishing manager, something.
I don't know. There's the writer
But I
share and the publisher share, like when it comes to the
yeah,
composition and stuff. So typically a publisher, like
but
depending on if they're a big boy, you know, they'll want like a larger share. But that's why there's always fighting over song
LA though
splits.
LA though is crazy because in LA it's literally where you're either the elite or you're the rodent. Like there's no in between. It's like you're either on top or you're not. And if you're not on top, then you have to abide to whatever's being given to you. And that's something that can kind of get very much twisted, especially in a community like you said, where if you're not seeing eye to eye with people, even if, for example, you're more talented than somebody else, like let's be honest, like you always run into that person that's like, oh, I could play better guitar than you. I'm like, dude, I've been playing guitar for like 38 years. Relax, okay? But being able to see eye to eye on the person instead of being like, okay, piece of shit, like you're gonna go in the back, you're gonna get like the scraps because you're new, da da da. That doesn't help anybody. That just makes everybody feel like shit. It's like, are you talented? Can you do this? Okay, great. Let's make this shit. Let's go. But that doesn't really work in a lot of cities, especially in this country. There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of cutthroat.
Yeah, it's just our competitive nature. You know, I actually read this book called Born Fighting, how the Scots-Irish kind of shaped our cultural, you know, how we kind of operate here, which was extremely fascinating. It was by James Webb, who was like a U.S. senator back in the 80s or something like that. And it's just like our competitive, like, go fuck yourself, like, bottom-up system of governments comes from all the way back to when the Scots were fighting back the Romans. You know, like like, you know, the wall that separates England from Scotland and stuff like that. Like the Romans couldn't beat the Scots in the Highland. Like they would chill in swamps for 3 days eating bark, waiting for the Romans to come and fucking slaughter them. And what they would do also is have their women and children behind them to keep them from retreating. I'm like, bro, they go fucking hard. So like the Scots and the Irish and stuff, when they started coming over here, we're very frontier. It's pioneer over here. This was the new world, you know. And dude, people, like 20% of people died just crossing the ocean, and then another 20% people died here because you were on your own. It was individual, you know. That's how our mindset comes from. So like, you know, the elites would stay in Boston and New York and stuff like that, but like the Scots-Irish went into Appalachia and into the forest and into the mountains and stuff like they did in the Highlands back then. And then they would get fucking skinned alive by you know, Indians and shit like that, so they had to learn how to fight back and stuff. And then they learned guerrilla warfare from the Indians, and that's how we beat the British during the Revolution, because they weren't familiar with that style of fighting, you know, like Colonel Fitzgerald and all that. I was like, God damn, dude, it's so cool to be American. What the fuck? And just that, like, go fuck yourself mindset, you know. And it really does stem from you probably saw Braveheart, you know, with William Wallace and stuff. Like, that was the first populace. That's what people want. They don't give a fuck if you're the king and you own this territory. You don't represent our values. And William Wallace did. That's why the Scots fought with him against, you know, King, whoever the fuck his name was at the time. And that's really, when you look at it, like, kind of how we think. Don't fuck with our values. Don't fuck with our shit. Do what you're told, you know, like how our voting system is all operated and stuff like that. But like, just kind of learning about like where like, we are so different from the rest of the world, bro. I've talked with so many artists like in Korea and Germany and England and all these places, and it's like the tall grass gets cut in their mindset. But over here, it's like, no, dude, sky's the limit. Let's go. You know, like and that's why people cross fucking oceans and deserts dying to get here. This is the goddamn promised land. You know, as much as people bitch and complain and all that stuff, I don't care about fucks his face billionaire up there. That's not getting me to where I need to be. I'll work towards my shit, because this is where you can be a homeless dude and become a billionaire. If you know, something fucking happens. Like, you know, it's the American dream, not the fucking China dream, not the Russian dream, you know?
No. I personally, like, my American dream and like my American moment, I kid you not. When I was living in LA, I went out with a roommate at the time. We went to Orange County on Halloween. We went to see Rocky Horror Picture Show with a live audience. Cool. I felt so alive, okay? I was in a room with a bunch of people. They had live actors that were there portraying the characters. We were throwing toilet paper. We got sprinkled with water, which I swear to God I hope was water. And just like being able to have that, that is something like, I'll be dead up and honest, like I've lived in other places outside of the US, I've been to other places. You don't get that kind of shit. Like there's something about our country where you can have the most craziest shit, okay? Like literally Tim Curry, all right? That freaking man in Home Alone 2,
dude, Tim
right?
Curry's
That plays
the
the
shit.
Plaza Hotel manager. Curry, playing a transsexual transvestite from Transylvania.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful. Yeah, it is. But like that's what we're amazing at. Okay, is the fact that we've had so many incredible people that come from this great nation that have been able to make things like that, those movies, those songs. Like we forget what it is to be American is we don't fucking care. We do whatever the hell we want. That's what it is to be American.
That's what's unique about us, dude. That's why, like, I'm never really like one for. I remember when I was younger, like it was cool. My last name's Polish. It's Mysliwiec. You know, like everyone's like, oh, I'm Irish, oh, I'm Polish, and all that. And it's like I got to a point where it's just like, nah, dude, you're like 5th generation, 10th generation, fucking, American, bro. Like, at what point do we just say we're American? Like that's our ethnicity. Like that's what's making us uniquely us. So like I don't know. I've just kind of been thinking about that for like quite a few years now. Actually, like I'm always telling people I'm just fucking American, dude. If I went to Poland and told them I'm Polish, they'd laugh at me. Like it's just like some way to like kind of make things tribal and separate us and shit like that. I'm very much like, nah, dude. We're like, what's our Latin fucking thing say? Like of many one. And it's wild that we're our country's the size of fucking Europe. Like we're huge. And regionally, we are we have our own kind of values and stuff like that, but like we all have that Bill of Rights, First Amendment, Second Amendment, like mindset pretty much everywhere, except for maybe like, like hardcore cities and stuff like that. But overall, it's impressive that we've been able to, out of 350 million people, maintain that value and idea of what it is to be American, yet also still be culturally unique to like the South or, even Florida or, fucking Washington State, and shit like that. That it's just it's very cool. And I don't know if it could ever be replicated again based on like, because of how we were founded. Like we, our founding fathers got here, like they were settled the land and all that stuff. And just, fighting back nature, essentially. You were on your own. And that's kind of like what it is to be American. Nobody's coming to save you. You're on your own, and I personally like that. I don't like that. Like I have a safety net or like whatever the fuck it is. I like that nobody's thinking about me because everyone's always just like so worried about who's thinking about me or what's like, bro, nobody's thinking about you. Your mother might be, but I promise you everyone's broke. Everyone's trying to feed their kids. Everyone's got their own shit going on, dude. No, like you could run down an airport naked and everybody like, oh, that was weird, back on their phone or back to their business or whatever the fuck it is. And it's freeing, and you like, oh yeah, nobody does give a shit. That's awesome. I can just focus on what I'm trying to do and build my thing up, and then like you were saying, like be progressive, be consistent, be learning, always growing. It's the pursuit of excellence, it's like, it's not the journey. Your journey, like when you've arrived, you're dead. It's the consistent like pursuit. So like, that's what is unique about us too, and that we're unapologetic too about it. Like, go fuck yourself if you don't want to, pursue your dreams or something. I'm going to handle my business, and then like especially if you know who you are and like you are that number one who has the vision. And then, like, you end up becoming a leader worth following. And then, like, people kind of see, like, yo, I believe in what you're trying to do. I don't have the vision myself, but I have this skill that you need. I can hop aboard and we can really keep going and stuff. And then you build your own community and your own thing, Damn, dude, it's... I get riled up and shit, man. I love this country.
No, I do too. I do too. It's weird because even in this country that like it's true, it's bigger than Europe. I mean, to be honest, like the US is almost like as big, if not bigger than Australia. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of cultural differences depending where we live. Like I'll be straight up and honest, like I lived on the West Coast, I live down here in Florida. I do not understand paradise culture. These people live in Delulu land. Like, I'm like, hello, you ever heard of reality? Like, and the truth is like, right, we live in such a big country where people literally live in paradise 365 days a year. Sunshine, palm trees, you can hear Vanilla Ice playing on the radio, all the shit, okay? And then you have people that live in the Midwest, like Wisconsin, you know, Minnesota, you got Chicago, you got Michigan, and it's cold as balls outside. Like, man, you go outside, your dick falls off. Like, that's how cold it is over there. Just same country, but two completely different environments. Like, in those colder environments, like, everybody's more huddled up, smaller communities, everybody kind of knows each other, everybody's kind of working together. In a paradise city, you're on your own, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's just it's
gonna be
it's
hard.
Fascinating. You know, just I would like to travel a little bit more, but I've been seeing like TikToks, like, you know, Europeans saying like Americans aren't traveled enough, and it's and, like, they're just like, guys, you don't understand. They go on vacation in their own country. You know, like, you could be from Wisconsin and go to Florida and be in the tropics. You can go to Nevada, go to Vegas and be in the desert. You can go to the Rocky Mountains. You can like, dude, it is gorgeous here, you know, and it really, like, I do need to like get a little bit more out there and travel a little bit more, but I'm working on building my empire, you know, so I got fucking work to do and shit. So, but it's quite fascinating how big we are.
There's so much, though, that you can explore as an artist and as somebody that's, in a way, basically making a community in Nashville. It's like, even though you live in the same place and you live there year after year, there's always new experiences and new things that are around the corner. You know, there's always that one person you haven't met in 5 years. There's that one spontaneous artist that you hear and you're like, who is that? And then they're like, oh, yeah. And they're like, they pull up that Instagram page and you're like, wait a minute, where do they live? And they find out they live like 20 minutes outside of Nashville. You're like, what the fuck? Really? The universe is weird in that way. Like, even when we're limited of being able to move, we're still able to expand in our own universe, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I was just kind of pondering on when you were mentioning that. But like, whenever we say like, oh, the world's changing and shit, it's just like, I mean, your world is really like a 30-mile radius, bro. Like, you have no idea what's going on in West Tennessee, you know, like or East Tennessee or whatever the fuck it is. So it's just like I guess sometimes we're ignorant as well, and not like even exploring, like you were saying, like you have no idea. 20 minutes away could be like your new best friend or like a new opportunity or something like that. But like, how are you going to know that if you don't leave your house? You know, we've kind of, technology has sheltered us and kept us like indoors, and you know, we're DoorDash and everything. We're getting groceries delivered now, and I'm not gonna lie, like, if you're really working towards something, it's convenient as fuck. You know, because I'd rather like spend the time working on like some contracts or something that I need to get for a client or something like that than spend fucking, you know, an hour, well, not an hour, but, you know, however long for the grocery store, what it takes to cook and like all that other fucking shit, which is why like some entrepreneurs is like, yeah, it's just cheaper for me to Uber, you know, Uber Eats or whatever the fuck it's called, you know, because like how much time it would take for me to, you know, make food and do all these other things. Like I just lost a, you know, $10,000 fucking $1 million deal or something. I could have been on a flight, you know, going, you know, whatever, 2 hours away and getting that ball rolling. So it's interesting, like the mindset, and it really kind of hit me when I understood that like you have to become the man it takes to achieve these impossible things you want, you know, because like how billionaires think, how multimillionaires think and stuff is clearly different than how we think, you know, or how I think currently anyways, because I'm not even close to where I want to be in terms of like even self-development, because I think your success is determined by your self-development. It's not just the skill set that you have. It's like, are you well read? Are you well versed in other things? Can you hold a conversation? Yeah. You know, the art of conversation is disappearing, like the art of curiosity, you know? So, you know, that's why it's helpful knowing like anime and like all these other things when I'm talking to hip-hop artists and shit like that. It's just like, oh, you watch Naruto? Fuck yeah, remember that one thing? Whatever the shit, you know, like you're just able to kind of bond and bro out a little bit. But and even when I'm talking with something about real estate or some shit, I'll be like, yo, dude, I be hitting up Memphis right now, dude, let's go.
I had somebody on the podcast. He's he does lectures, he's an author, and he wrote an entire book on the history of R&B and hip hop. And you know, like I know my little amount, like I know Michael Jackson, I know like the Jackson 5, I love Marvin Gaye, I know like Tina Turner and like Diana Ross, but there's so many other things right there. That's where the art of collaboration comes in. I'm able to get somebody to come on here, able to have a conversation, and then be able to like have him explain to me more about the history that I'm already excited about. That's a cool thing too, right? Even for yourself, is like you run into like the quote unquote hip hop and rap artists, but they're not always the same. You run into those who are like, damn, you wrote that? Damn, that's like really good lyrics. Like, damn, that's pretty like deep. And it blows your mind away because you're sitting there and you're like, I think I thought about this a little differently, because you're so bombarded with like, yeah, it's the same bullshit, it's the same crap. But it's not always that. You got to be able to like walk into those experiences like, shoot me. Tell me something I didn't hear yet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool and just to hear people's inspirations. That's why I always ask artists, like, what's your purpose? Like, why are you doing this? Because, like, just trying to make a living with...
Oh, shit, don't ask me that, please.
I mean, just trying to make a living with music is not inspiring, for fans and stuff like that. Especially nowadays, you have to have that story. You have to be able to, have that brand and something that, why should I stand beside you? Why should I fly your flag? So like that's what a lot of artists don't understand. And they're younger. They're like, 20, 21. I don't expect them to know what their purpose is, and I always try to explain that by like, well, it's what do you want to give back to the world? Like that's, you want to be of service in some capacity. It's not just like me. I actually like listen for that if they use that a lot, especially with interns too. When I'm like interviewing an intern we want to bring on or something like that, everyone's just like, oh, I thought this would be a great opportunity for me and like all these other things. It's just like, yeah, but how, like, what are you going to do for us? Like, you want the job. Like, how are you going to contribute? How are you going to bring value? Like, did you research us? Did you ask, like, what are our pain points that you could help with and, like, all that other stuff? Like, everyone's, like, they don't know how to network. Where it's just like, I mean, I just met a GM at a publisher or something. I just schedule a meeting and see if they can sign me, right? It's just like, no, dude. Like, it's like, what can you do for them? They have something you want. They don't have any obligation to give you an opportunity. They don't know who the fuck you are. It's the same with, like, the gatekeepers and shit, too. It's just like, I've been doing business with this guy for 10 years and I get results. You're new. Why the fuck should I work with you? You haven't proven yourself yet. And it's just like, people who bitch about gatekeeping just want fast results, in my opinion. But, and it's not everything, but go ahead.
No, it's an no. It is an ideology, and a lot of the times it gets very toxic. And the reason is because people tend to forget that life is not like social media where you just post a bunch of posts and now you're on the way to Monaco. It takes a lot of work and effort and energy. And even if, for example, you're really honed in on your skill, your expertise, you spent a lot of time, like, doesn't matter. You're walking into a room, you're new, you're fresh. Treat yourself like you are. I worked in the food industry for 7 years, okay? I worked in fine dining, in French restaurants. Like, I worked across the line. And I remember every single time I walked into a kitchen, I walked in there, I don't know anything. You know how to cut with a knife? Nope, no idea. I know how to cut with a knife. But I know that when you're in that new environment, you have to respect the people that are there. They're going to be the people you're spending the most time with. They may be there to be able to educate you and teach you things you didn't know before. That's what I always say. Come in as if you're new. And if you have that mindset, I know you're going to go a long way.
Then you blow their mind when you already know what you're doing. It's like, oh shit, I can rely on you. I can depend on you. And then you get that raise faster,
Yeah. Come on, who doesn't like that hunk of change? That means you can trade in that Toyota Corolla and get that BMW 528i you've been dreaming about.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah, man. Oh, is it raining out? That sucks. Yeah, that blows. It's all right. It's been raining here a lot lately. We just got that heat fucking wave, too, that was like 90-something degrees all week or whatever. My cousin just moved down here from fucking Detroit. He just is like... can't even fathom it. It's like violent out, dude. It's like so fucking hot. So I'm just like, welcome to the South, bruh. Woo!
It's hilarious because like whenever Floridians are complaining about the
Hmm.
weather, like I grew up in upstate New York. I grew up in the
Where in
mountains. I grew
upstate?
up with the snow and all the Rockland County.
I'm from Mechanicville, Saratoga.
Oh, okay. So you're further up from me. So I'm on the other side of the Hudson. I'm like border right next to Jersey.
Oh, you're down there. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. And I just like I tell like they're complaining about the rain and the shit, and I'm just looking at them. I'm like, fuck
Yeah.
you,
I
fuck
mean, dude, at
you.
least back in
Like,
New York, it was like the weather was consistent. Like if it was a rainy day, it was a rainy day.
yeah,
Here, it's like it'll be
yeah,
sunny in 3 minutes, and then it'll snow. And it's like really
yeah.
wild here in Tennessee, just because we get fucked by like the tropical and the Canadian cold at the same time. It's why we're Nashville just made the cut on Tornado Alley, so we do get tornadoes through here. It's fucking irritating as shit. But like back when I was younger, Mechanicville was kind of like back. I think it was '97. We had some super tornado come through like our little town, and like ever since then, I've been like terrified of fucking tornadoes and shit like that. Obviously, but. Down here where it's just like, dude, the storms, like it might not even be a tornado. It's just windy as all hell, monsoon looking out. And then, like luckily, tornadoes don't like to put in effort, so like they like those flat lands. We're on a hill. So for the most part, it's not going to like kind of, walk its way up. But, yeah, I just kind of find that interesting. I don't know
No.
how motherfuckers just stand in Kansas watching those fucking things. I'm like, damn, bro, I'd be going the opposite direction real quick.
I remember years. I don't think they have this anymore. They had years ago in Universal Studios in Orlando. They had an attraction there. I think it was called
Twister,
Twister. It
yeah,
was
I
based
fucking
on
did
the
that.
movie.
Shit was
Dude,
terrifying.
it was one of the best rides. It was
Mhm.
one of the best rides they had at Universal Studios, man. It was, and it felt real. That was the crazy part. Like you sat on the railing, and I remember this. Like they told you, like, do not let go.
Yeah.
Like you have to hold on, like whatever you do, and like shit, you like let go just a little bit, and your legs start picking up, and you're like, holy shit, like
Dude, you just
like, grab
triggered
back
a,
on
you
the
just
railing.
triggered a memory, bro. I haven't like that was like '99 for me or whatever the fuck it was when we went down there. Universal Studios was cool.
2006.
2006 for you?
It was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
2006 was a good year.
It was, dude. You know, it was like wild, man. Because like back then, it's kind of like bananas. Because like it was just a free for all, in the sense like we were talking about this earlier, but like it's gotten like stupid expensive just to live and thrive today. Like just to understand that like there was a time where you can go from New York to Orlando for $99 round trip. Like that was the thing. Like $99 round trip, and then you can go to like the parks and all the shit and spend like max $150
Yeah.
with the ticket and everything included. You could be like broke as shit in 2005 and just be like get on Hooters Airlines, and just like hop over to
Our
Florida.
value getting inflated like a motherfucker.
I know,
Sucks.
man. It's like you can't even have real life experiences no more when you get
Bro, even
slapped with a
DoorDash is like
$14.99
fucking
bill.
20 something dollars for a Big Mac now. It's just like, damn, dude, what's going on? And we're not like used to it. Like even us, like we remember our, the dollar menu, like shit like that. So it's just like it's wild. Our
You
value.
when Taco Bell had a dollar menu,
Yeah.
like it's crazy. Like Taco Bell has gotten so expensive, man, that it's cheaper now. Like somebody did this on TikTok. They found out that it's actually cheaper to buy the same ingredients in Walmart and make it yourself. And it turns out you can make it yourself in the exact amount of time that it now takes Taco Bell to make your food, waiting on the drive-through. So it's like it doesn't even make any sense anymore to go to Taco Bell.
Yeah, it's just
like-
convenience for the most part. That's what you're paying for overall.
Right at that point, yeah.
Even when I DoorDash, it's like I gotta stop with it. I'm addicted to the DoorDash shit. I gotta chill the fuck out. I'm always getting Hattie B's. I don't know if you ever had a Hattie B's, but Hattie B's Nashville hot chicken. Like it's like the more affordable thing on there is like $14 or something. So I'll always get that, like fried chicken, some fucking grits, and some slaw.
God.
And
You are so southern,
no,
man.
I'm up.
Like,
Well, I've been here like 12 years, but I'm just like my grandpa was the producer and guitar player for the Judds back in the day. So my mom would actually come down here. So I
Damn.
guess we got a bit of that.
you come from royalty.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, I don't really. We don't. It's whatever. But I just roll with it. But it's I probably got some of that from mom. She always said y'all and shit too. So like it wasn't whenever she came down here, I guess she had the cowboy hat on and like the trench coat and all that stuff because that's how the '80s rolled in the '90s. but is interesting.
I literally like I am born and raised in New York, but the thing about me is like it's weird because the amount of people I've been around and all the places that I've moved around, like I've had people tell me that I kind of have a New York accent with a southern draw because I do like I have a tendency now where I kind of slow
Hmm.
down certain things that I'm saying, and it's weird, man, because you become a culture of all places, you know, like you're not you live in so many different places or you live somewhere for such a long time that you just become like a part of you become like a
Dude,
chameleon,
that's what's
you
I've been
know.
noticing, or I'm curious about this, where how technology is kind of connecting us all over the world. Like I've heard that some Fortnite kids, like some British kids, have American accents because they're just talking with Americans all the time on Fortnite and shit. And then there's like new slang that's popping up in like different parts of the world because they're hearing somebody in Jamaica or some shit like that, and like it's just like we're like blending in a unique way. And for the next generation, I don't really. Our age is probably just going to chill the way it is, But here, I mean, to Southerners, I'm not Southern. I might like talk kind of like that or whatever. When I go back home to New York, they're like, oh, you got a little
Nah,
bit
you're
of,
a New Yorker by
yeah,
heart.
yeah,
I'm just fucking with you. You're a New Yorker by
yeah.
heart.
I mean, just when I go
Yes.
home, they can hear maybe something I like. Appreciate you, bro. Like something like that is Southern sounding. Like they
Yeah.
don't say that up there for the most part. My brother was just like, "Damn, dude, you Southern as fuck now." But like if I'm talking with an actual dude from like the sticks, they're like, "Yeah, you're not from around here, are you, bro?" But like Nashville's unique too, because like it's really rare to meet somebody who's actually from here, because it's just another city. Like it's a typical accent, just like any other city.
It's a railroad city.
Yeah.
That's where if I'm not mistaken, that's where Nashville got its root when they were building the railroad system. People were traveling, and that's how the city was built. And by the way, that's true for a lot of the South. Like people. I've experienced this too. There are a lot of places in Alabama.
Hmm.
I didn't know this. Like places in Alabama and Mississippi, they have South American communities, not Central American, South American communities in like the freaking Bible Belt. You know, you have all sorts of people that come out to the
Hmm.
South. It's like literally like if you want to talk about the melting pot of the United States, you got to come out to the South. That's the melting pot
You
of
ever
the United
see
States.
you ever play Metal Gear 5?
Bro, you're aging me right now.
I mean, it's not that long ago. When was Metal Gear 5? Like late
No, no, no,
2010s?
no. Let me see. Let me see. Was this for PC or
Nah,
was
this was
this
like
on
PlayStation
PlayStation?
4 or something.
Yeah, it was. It was PlayStation 3. They did have a PlayStation 3 version. I vaguely remember
There
this
was
because I had a friend of mine that had a PlayStation 3 back in the
Yeah,
day.
because they changed out the voice actor. They got like Kiefer Sutherland in there. Because I grew up playing Metal Gear like 1 on like PlayStation 1, Metal Gear Solid, and then
Okay.
there was
Okay.
2
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Snake
Okay.
Eater, Metal Gear 3 and shit for PS2. But there was, how like you could read like codexes and stuff like that. There would be like a speech or something, and one of them was talking about how America is like it's not necessarily a melting pot. It's really a salad bowl where the croutons chill with the croutons and the tomatoes chill with the tomatoes and stuff. And I'm like, damn, that's the most fucking insightful shit that I've ever heard out of a video game. Because like that's kind of like how it is, which is like not necessarily how it should be. I do think if you're immigrating here, you should be like integrating into the culture, because like if we that gets into another conversation too, of just like the values and principles and stuff that makes this country desirable in the first place. So like if
Yeah,
Spanish
but
communities just chill with Spanish communities speaking different languages and having different values and stuff
yeah,
that do not align with what makes this country, like I said, desirable in the first place, then that disappears over time.
yeah.
And that's dangerous as
It
fuck.
does.
And that's like, I mean, it kind of gets into like political stuff right now, but it's just like people don't understand
No,
that
it's fine.
that what we do it's not for us. It doesn't affect us. It affects our children and their children. That's what people can't understand. They can't see past themselves, and that's unfortunate because like most people aren't having kids now anyways. So when you have people coming from third worlds and stuff that have 10 kids at a time and they're all hanging out in their own community speaking, whatever language they're speaking, that's not good, you know?
There's also like we were talking earlier about
Mm-hmm.
Miami and the sad like I'm gonna open up the lid right now, and it's the cold hard truth. Miami is a drug-built city. Miami specifically was built and designed to allow drug exports and imports from countries from Central and South America, specifically like the cartel, to be able to get stuff into the United States. Government's been well aware of this. This has been going on for well over 40 years. That's the whole city. And there's this projection of like these beautiful skyscrapers, and it's this ambiance in New York City, in, South Florida. But it's a drug smuggling city that ridicules and destroys their artists on a day-to-day basis. A lot of independent artists now have moved. I know this because I know some of them have had to leave. And it's just horrible because, like you said, it's weird. It's great when it works, but then when you start throwing this bullshit of, okay, all right, so this is really not a real city. This is not really a real community. This is all fake. This is all for show. This is just for some politicians, some person being able to make an extra paycheck, be able to say a sweet night little speech, get the police department involved, make a few little arrests. The whole novel, the whole telenovela, like the whole bullshit from start to finish. That shit pisses me off for the simple fact, like, that's not America. That's not how we represent people here. That's not how you treat people here, especially if you're an American citizen, and especially if you're somebody that's immigrated to this country and came here legally and now is being part of this culture and being part of America. That this kind of crap exists.
Especially the Cubans.
It's disgusting.
Cubans get it. Like, I fuck with the Cubans. They know what's up, man. So it's just like,
they do.
They're pro-America as fuck. I'm not gonna lie, it was awesome down in Miami. Like, personally, for me, anyways, it was a cool experience. There's American flags everywhere. So for the most part, I mean, even though it's Spanish as fuck, but like that's kind of just uniquely that territory, and that's not changing anytime soon. But it's interesting. Even like I remember chatting with some artists down there, and it's just like, the studio, like Wynwood is kind of the artsy district down there. That's where like all the big studios are and shit like that. But there's not a very big live scene there. It's just very clubby, so it's difficult to get like live performances and stuff down there. And especially if you're not in, I would say if you're not in Latin or like EDM music, I don't know if there's a path forward for you in that city currently.
There is on the other side.
Yeah.
There is on the other side of Florida, on the west coast of Florida.
Like Tampa?
But it's not as large. Yeah, Tampa, areas like, for example, Fort Myers, they have a few local independent studios and stuff. Film-wise, there are some places like near Orlando, Ocala area. But it's very spread out. And like we were saying like about that salad, about like tomatoes and croutons and croutons, that is how it is here. It's very like one community does specific things, and that's it. And then the other community does this specific amount of things, and that's it. There's no, I hate saying it, like intermarriage, like there's no, like,
it's just integrating. That's what it is. But it's just like, it's like we like familiarity. Like, why would I want to live around things that I'm not familiar with? And I understand that. It's just like, if you're going to immigrate here, then like you need to understand, like you need to speak the language first off. Damn, figure that side of things out, and then like live in communities that force you to integrate. Like understand that like your kids should be American. They should speak English. Yes, it's cool to speak another language, like with your grandparents and stuff like that, of course. But like, I mean, in case I don't know if you were kind of getting more into like communities in terms of like skill set or like what they're doing in terms of that, but like because I understand like some audio people maybe chill with audio people, but that's what I was talking about before, where like the self-development, like you should be into other stuff. You might meet somebody who's you really get along with. That's how you can bring value to people who are outside your industry too. Me and Dylan were my brother, we were at a BMI on the rooftop, and we're just chatting with a real estate lawyer, and we're talking about fixing flips and shit like that, and it's just like, it allows you to hold conversations, and then all of a sudden you got someone else in your Rolodex that you can kind of pull from, and then like you connect people with other people. Say somebody's looking for a house or whatever the fuck, they need a real estate guy, and then you're like, oh, you got that, and then they look out for you later. That's the whole thing with networking, like I was saying before, where it's just like you have to provide value. Like, what are you going to give them? And then things happen for you. It's like that giving without expectation type of mindset, the Gary Vee way of doing things.
I've said this before, like, this may sound strange, but even somebody that's an accountant, or somebody that's, for example, a marketing director, just because they don't do something that doesn't sound exciting to you doesn't mean that they're not exciting
Mhm.
people. You know, I've I've met accountants that I played even board games with, and they're really fun people. You know, that's their interest. That's what they love to do. And that's something that, for example, if they're like a part of like, the music scene, or in a lot of times like film production, you need a lot of that. You need your marketing team to be able to get stuff out. You can all work together. So what? They're not so creative. So what? Your marketing director draws like hangman characters and can't draw for shit. It doesn't
I mean, it's
matter.
just
Who
ignorance of.
cares?
It's just ignorance of, and I don't mean that even in a negative sense. It's just you don't know. There's an art to accounting. There's an art to comedy.
Yeah, there
There's
is.
an art to design and shit, like architecture
Yeah.
or fucking politics. You know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
yeah.
Like there's
Yeah, there is.
everyone has their own unique kind of way of doing things. So like I'm always fascinated by anyone like pursuing to be the best like in their craft. You know what I'm saying? So like people who like make jewelry and shit like that, like they're trying to make the best thing that they're trying to make, and that's fascinating to me.
I love those people.
And they're so
I love
into
it.
it. Like they get into the details.
They're so
I'm like,
into
teach me,
it.
bro. I want to hear all
Oh.
this shit. I'm never gonna do it myself, but
And
it's
then
so
they like
cool.
they're pulling up the rings and they're putting it up to the light, and then they're showing you and how they made the intricate
Yeah.
patterns and what stones and metals they. And I'm just like, dude, like I don't know if you're gay, but like if you're single, can we go out sometime? Like here's my number. Let's like
But
exchange.
even like on
Need you more
TikTok,
in my
I follow
life.
this guy who sells watches. He just it's called Vukum or something like that, but he's cool as shit. And he
makes
he
them?
doesn't make them. He's in New York City, and he kind of is like a freelance like watch seller. He'll get watches and sell them
one of those.
to
Yeah, yeah,
fucking brick and mortars.
I'm from the Jewish community.
Yeah. Or even
This is like
watch
everybody I know.
apprentices
Yeah.
and watch people who make the watch. I'll watch a whole video of them taking something apart and putting it, like cleaning it and putting it back together. And it's the same with fucking cars and movies and stuff like that. Like it's all creative to me. Like that was something.
By the
Go ahead.
way, no, but I wanted to point this out, by the way, and I don't know if you're aware of this. One of the biggest problems that exists in the automotive industry is the fact that mechanics and engineers don't see eye to eye. And it's one of the saddest things that could possibly exist. It's where an engineer may not understand mechanical things with a car. I agree. But you need those things to work together, man. It's like, do you drink a can of cola out of a paper cup? Out of a vending machine? Like, come on. Like, that doesn't, like, you need to be able to have that. And it just, when it doesn't exist, it hurts. Because you know that, like, there's no progression. There's no...
Yeah, I wonder who kind of tweaks in that particular situation, because on the engineer side of things, like the whole thing is like the user experience. The mechanic's not the user. So like, does the mechanic have to tweak in terms of like what they need to learn or what they need to do? Like especially since everything's becoming like computerized, like that's very different. From a mechanic's standpoint, I suppose. Like it's probably a pain in the dick working on a Tesla or however that works.
Well, it's also about changing your perspective, right? Like, I think something, like as an artist, like if you have, for somebody that's very good at making mixers, knows how to use software really well, and you have somebody that's very raw, that they only know instruments very well. The same thing with cars, and cars can apply the same way. If an engineer is trying to design a car that's more low, light, trying to allow the driver to have as much control as possible, you just have to stop thinking so mechanical. Like, well, why'd they put it over here? Well, why do I have to take off like 6 bolts to take this on? And you're just bitching and complaining instead of like, well, maybe the reason why they put it over there was so that if the passenger gets in, they have more leg room. And you see where I'm going with this? The same idea with that audio engineer, like with that raw artist trying to figure out, like, hey, you see this loop over here? You see that equalizer? See them? Yeah, that's what you're doing when you're tuning your guitar. It's just being able to, like, see to eye, man. And it's just like, I know I'm speaking Chinese. It's not. This is just simple
Well, it's
shit
just
people should
seeking.
know how
Yeah,
to do.
it's like seeking to understand. So like, even something I'm learning myself, like literally this year, was trying to utilize people's strengths instead of trying to get them to do like what I want them to do. And I don't mean that in a shit way. It's just like, if I have an intern or an A&R or something and I need them to do something specific, it's just like maybe they're fucking ass at that particular task. So like to kind of learn a little bit more of, dude, psychology is super important, like in like fucking every industry I'm seeing, you know, like the more I even see patterns and stuff, and like I'm 35 now, so like throughout the 20s is only the only kind of patterns I've been noticing, just because most artists are usually in their 20s. But like it's just kind of, it's fascinating seeing, like, yes, we're all kind of uniquely different, but like we're still like so like 23 is kind of like the real world sets in. It's just like, oh, things that I thought were important aren't, you know. I'm starting to like pay taxes, I got all these other fucking things going on and shit like that, so like that's a unique kind of maturity change that I've noticed. 25 is that quarter life crisis where you're like, if I'm going to try something new, I got to do it now. And then also, if you feel stagnant, it's because you might be ahead of the curve. You don't have the value to provide to your network you currently have. You know what I'm saying? So like I got a guy in Los Angeles who was 25 at the time and knows like the VP of Warner and all these other fucking people and shit like that. But like as soon as we brought him on, he's got contracts, he's got a team, he's got a roster, he's got people to bounce ideas off of, and then he can actually utilize and bring value to who he knows. And then 27 I find is the giving up age. So like the artist is either stagnant, has their shit together, or desperate for help. And I noticed that 6 months later, you know Jordan B. Peterson? Yeah, he read a study or something that said that at 27, criminal activity, hockey sticks down at 27. And I was just like, damn, that's interesting. So it's just a maturity change as a whole, you know? So like you're willing to start giving up on certain things. So I'm like, I even told that to a catalog acquisition company, like, don't be aiming for the young ones. You got to aim for like 27 years old who's willing to get a payday for their catalog, you know? So I'm like, damn, bro, like I'm like just thinking that way is just quite fascinating when you ponder on shit like that, which reminds me, I got to contact them actually about some marketing stuff. But like, and then like 29, 30, I think is who you're going to be the rest of your life if you allow it. So, but I'm at 35, so I don't know just yet. Like, I've been growing tremendously. I've been different every single year with, like, what I've been learning and who I'm becoming and trying to be the leader that is required to kind of build this thing that I'm trying to do, you know? So it's interesting, you know, just growing. Yeah.
It is. Before we wrap up, because we've been talking about your work and everything that you've been doing, do you want to give me like a little rundown for the audience, where they can find you, the work that you've been doing, your social media, anything that's new that's coming up?
Yeah, I'm David. I run the Upstate Sound Music Group. We are a like artist services, publishing. We won a Grammy actually, which is pretty cool. I always forget to mention that. Shout out Conscious Beats. We have studio services. We're building out our academy too, to be helping out like the next generation, because the whole point of what we're trying to build now is, and that's something too, is like as we've been developing the company and really kind of like what is our North Star, what are we trying to give back? Like we want to help artists be captains of their own ship. We want them to have more of an entrepreneurial mindset, because like most young ones people just want to be told what to do. You know, but if you're an artist, you can't do that. You have to have your vision. You know, you have to be a leader worth following and all that stuff.
You have to be independent.
You have to be like willing to say like, I'll do it myself if I have to. You know, not be like, oh, the manager or the label is gonna solve all my problems. It's just like, I mean, you still got to make the ads, bro. Like you're still like, you are the product. That's what's kind of unique about this industry and kind of fucked at the same time.
I know.
But yeah, we're
really fucked up.
Yeah. In terms of like, I mean, a lot of it's internal stuff. We just signed an A&R manager in the Miami area now, so we're going to be bringing on some Spanish artists and stuff, which is pretty cool. We got our guy TJ over in the UK who's signing artists over there. Got Nate in Los Angeles, HQ's Nashville. And we've just been kind of like building the team. We just brought on another sync coordinator. Her name's Julia with Ashley. They're going to be, you know, dominating that sector, working on our own, you know, distribution tech side of things, so we don't have to be like partnering with other people and stuff. You know, getting my cousin came down here, so now he's like the studio manager and handling a lot of those things. We do have 50% off for Freedom Week for the mixing and mastering and all that stuff, so like 1% per State of the Union. So got that going on right now. Comment 50 on that ad if you see it, because I've been spending like $300 worth of ads, so like people see the shit. Yeah, lots of lots of stuff going on. I gotta probably have a better answer for that, like what's coming up next and all that. I know we're working on shit like for shows that's not till like September and April, but or not what September, October. So like a fashion event and stuff like that we're gonna be doing with a studio down the road. We have another division is the Christian music division that Wayne's leading, that we got a showcase going on with that coming in September, and we're going to have Google Forms that people can apply to and perform if they so choose, partnering with the venue to kind of get that going. Before I even hopped on here, I'm retweaking contracts right now to kind of better exemplify what we're trying to do, where we have like our set sale, like distribution, you get sync, you get pub admin, you get all these things into one place. The academy, with that has like, tools on like how to utilize AI now with like ChatGPT, and how to write a better artist bio and like all these other things. And then I'm trying to do like bi-weekly chats with them, so it's like accountability calls, because for the most part a lot of artists just kind of make something and release it and then promote it for one day and be done, where it's just like everyone, like Tyler the Creator, like back when he got started, he was promoting the same song for like 2 years, just getting going on that until something fucking bit. But yeah, you
have to stay active.
It's consistency. That's all it is, dude. And like you got to consider yourself as a media company. Like the whole game is attention, and like even other industries are building out their own studios and their own marketing teams that are content creation. Coca-Cola's got their own studios now, and they're going to be making stuff. And then the AI influencers are going to be popping in because it's way cheaper than paying an influencer, So there's so much shit coming, dude.
There is. But you know what? I think it's fantastic that there are people such as yourself that are doing the work like this, because it's not just giving artists an opportunity. It's giving them something that nobody has been able to have 15, 20 years ago. It's something that we're able to work on now, we're able to offer, especially in your case, and I think that's fantastic. I think that's a real way of building future artists. Not just in the indie or the underground scene. This might be the new way. Instead of having that grubby, sleazy middleman that steals your life away like Stevie Nicks, like poor fuck. And the list just goes on. You don't want to be like that as an artist. Like you said, like being able to stay consistent, being aware, like if you have to keep on promoting for 2 or 3 years, you have to promote for 2 to 3 years. Like that's just the name of the game. But never allowing another person to take your entire life away from you just because you want a future. I think that's the most horrible thing that we've ever done to artists. Not us. People have done to artists, which I think is... We can only move forward.
A lot of management that I hear, like the horror stories I hear from managers for the most part, like that come from managers, because like they're supposed to have the best interest of the artist. Like, a record label's just trying to make money. It's just business, for the most part. Like, yeah, they do some, they'll shelf an artist or do some shitty things, but it's just like, if they're going to give you, $5 million advance, it's like, what are you going to do with that money? Are you just going to blow it on stupid shit? Or are you going to put it into stocks and crypto and real estate and things that will appreciate so that you won't need them in the future? So, and that's what I tell people, like, where it's just, I'll tell artists, you all right?
Yeah, just weed.
Okay. Shit, that's funny as fuck. I remember just talking with we were talking to some videographer or something at BMI on the rooftop, and this girl, she's just like, she's got her whole camera thing, and we were just chatting with her about like her career and what she's been doing, and she's like, yeah, you guys are cool, we should smoke a joint sometime, and then just walked off. It was funny as fuck.
Love those kind of people. No, but I'm serious, man, like spending the time like talking with you, like I feel like this is the best way, like not only just conversation-wise, but like also like collaborating. Like I learned so much just being able to spend time with you, be able to like raise awareness for something that I feel is like the most important thing to happen to the music industry ever, period. Like this is the stuff that matters, this is the stuff like, this is what gives us like drive and love and passion to keep moving forward. It's like, fuck the man. We don't need you no more, motherfucker.
You are
Go
quite
back to your
good. You are
ditch.
quite good at bringing it back to the music industry throughout this entire conversation. Because like we were going off into different fucking universes, and like and you brought it back to the artist mindset. And I'm like, damn, all right, cool. You keep it on track. Keep it on track. I like it.
Listen, man, I've been doing this for like I haven't been doing this as long as Cheech and Chong,
Damn.
but I've been doing this long enough that I'm be able to keep alert for conversation.
Right on, man. It's a what is it? I forget the word I'm trying to think of, but that's a tall tale sign of a good host. You know, somebody who can keep the conversation going.
Listen, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure, man. Like, seriously, anybody out there, if you want to check out more of Upstate Sound, I'm going to leave links and everything below. Obviously, links to the Substacks there. And if anybody wants to check out more of the podcast, you can find us at Lost Pod. That. Catch you, motherfuckers. All right. Peace out.
Right.